A nice little crowd on the outside of the track filling in, and we are underway. SMU in the home whites with blue trim, UCF black tops, black shorts, and gold numerals. Steve, talk to me about the strengths of these two teams going in. Obviously, we've got some star players, but both these teams have their own style of play.
They do, and they're actually pretty similar styles. Both Coach Calabrese at UCF and Coach Hudson at SMU, big believers in having their teams possess the ball. Sometimes it looks like they're excessively patient, but they will play back and forth from one side to the other over and over and over again, looking for a seam where they can crack the opposition. Just like that, with Tobin Shanks sending a long ball up to a little bit out of reach for Nick Taylor on the left flank.
We got some news, and it's not great news for SMU going in. They don't have their star goalie in tonight. They're going with a freshman, Cole Johnson, who's only seen a few minutes to start the season.
They are, and Cole Johnson, I talked to Brett Kozakowski, the assistant coach who works with the goalies at SMU. Cole Johnson, not quite as tall and explosive an athlete maybe as Shane Lanson, but a very polished, consistent shot stopper. The thing to watch, or the things to watch with Cole Johnson tonight, it's his first start in college, so how does he handle the nerves? And that boils down to communication and distribution. He does have some experience in front of him in the form of Brandon Tervega, who can sort of quarterback the back end there for the Mustangs. But for Cole Johnson, getting his feet wet for the first time tonight against a very good UCF team.
Hadabu Berry with the ball, and we've got our first takedown of the match. Yeah, it looks like Yoni Sorokin, and you mentioned earlier in the start, he is one of the more talented players for UCF.
Yoni Sorokin is a terrific player, and if you talk to coaches on any teams, every now and then you'll hear one of them make a comment about, man, that guy's been around forever. That guy's old. Well, in this case, it's no exaggeration. Yoni Sorokin is 27 years old, so to say he is a man on the field is no exaggeration. He is a former Israeli military officer, and he plays like it. He's the most mature guy on either team. He's very smart, very disciplined, and that military background will show through in the sense that he won't make silly mistakes ever, and he won't get bumped off the ball. And clearly, he's not afraid of a little contact going after trying to get possession back for the Knights.
UCF working with it around the midfield. In goal for the Knights, of course, the two-time keeper of the year in the American, Yannick Erdl. Built like a football player, 6'2", 205 pounds, a senior out of Munich, Germany. Should have two of the best keepers to see here tonight.
Yeah, and Yannick Erdl is terrific, and I know the roster says 6'2", 205. He looks bigger than that. And for Roman Knox, making his first start, that's twice he's been shot in the ankle and taken down in the first 2.5 minutes. So welcome to conference play.
That was Caleb Frankie, number 17. Had a chance to meet with his parents, who were actually in the parking garage checking out the match. Hello to them.
Frankie is a very interesting story for the Knights. He transferred to UCF from FIU, and Coach Calabrese loves this guy because he says he's a Swiss Army knife. He's not a very big guy, but he can do a little bit of everything. And I think he was only sort of kidding when he said, I could play him at any of the 10 field positions in front of Yannick Erdl. And he just jumps right in and does absolutely anything needed.
Cole Johnson, 6'1", 175-pound freshman, blasts that one up to the midfield. It'll be out on UCF, so a throw-in coming. Nick Taylor throws this one in. Timo Humbrick sends it across the field. What an incredible start on offense this season for SMU. 14 goals against just 2 allowed, one of the top offenses in the country.
Yeah, it is. It's a very dangerous offense. And when you look at some of the gifted offensive players that the Mustangs have, like Gabriel Costa and Knut Allender, Papa Endoy, who's not playing tonight, Skage Simonsen. But also you have to take those numbers, that 14 goals, with a bit of a grain of salt, because against USF, the Bulls had a player ejected, I think, in the first 10 minutes. So SMU was playing a man up for virtually the entire night. And if you're playing a man down and you get behind, it's really easy for the wind to just go out of the sails. So the Mustangs were able to hang a touchdown and an extra point on USF last week.
Tobin Shanks opens that one up. Now a feed up the field to Taylor. Taylor at the top of the box. And that back line for UCF takes over. You and I were able to watch a week or two ago against Memphis, playing on a turf field here on campus. They were scoreless. Both teams scoreless in the first half, and then SMU exploded out of that halftime gate. Let's take a look at the lineups for UCF. Tonight's visiting team, Ertl in goal, and then the defensive trio of Rosa, Hernandez, Betancourt, and Learman. You'll have the midfielders of Sorokin, Frankie, Lizanes, and Villalobos Vega. Gino Vivi, the reigning conference freshman of the year at forward, along with Schmalbach and Perez.
Anderson Rosa is a nice addition to the back end for the Knights. He's a true freshman. He's played a ton of minutes. I'm not sure he hasn't played every minute so far, and it's not that often that you have a true freshman playing such a key role. He was Conference Defensive Player of the Week a couple weeks ago, and Coach Calabrese said that was no fluke. He will win more of those awards.
Backline trying to take control for SMU. 3-1 on the season.
And what you saw there was the Mustangs going back and forth looking for a seam in the Knights, which works, except UCF likes to press high. And when you have some new faces on the defense, as SMU does, it's a nice aggressive stance by Calabrese and the Knights staff, trying to press the issue a little bit and see if you can force the SMU defense into a mistake on the back end.
These two teams faced each other 3 times last year, including in the Sweet 16 here in Dallas, a game won in overtime by SMU. That earlier game to start the season ended up in a tie, double OT, right? But a very competitive game, I believe. 3-3 the score?
I believe that's right, yeah. And it's always tight with these two. I mean, they are every year they're 2 of, if not the 2 most talented teams in the conference, or certainly right near the top. And the games between them always reflect that.
One of the keys of the game for UCF was to possess the ball. They take possession here. Nice little cut up the middle by Frankie. Frankie sends it wide. Here's Hadabu Berry looking for someone to feed. Can't get a cross in. They'll bring it back a level. Giannis Learman, the 6'1 junior from France, all conference a year ago. Here's a strong look from Rosa. Just blasts this one well over the top of the goal.
And again, that's a freshman defender stepping forward into the offensive third, letting it go from about 30.
Starting lineup for the Mustangs ranked in the top 10 in the nation this year. You see Cole Johnson in goal, and then Tervega, Shanks, Timo Humrick, and Knox on the defensive end. Midfielders today, Hilt, Hollander, Costa, and Warrington. We'll also see Nick Taylor at the top of the offense, and Skage Simonson, who has come in and really kind of set the offense on fire. He's had a great start. He'll be the lone forward today.
Simonson is an interesting player because he's very technical and very big. And a lot of times you have a guy who's one or the other, but he has a lot of size, and he's filling in up front for Papa Ndoye today. It'll be interesting to see what he can create. Obviously, he has some very talented midfielders behind him getting the ball, playing him forward. But it'll be interesting to see what he can do against the UCF back end.
Always nice to have a transfer come in who's 6'3", goes about 200, coming in from St. John's, a good soccer program at the NCAA level.
And he's another one of the Norwegian players that Kevin Hudson has added in the last couple of years. He and Knut Hollander adding a little international flair.
Last week against Temple, SMU got shut out 2-0. I don't know if a lot of people saw that coming. They won the battle on shots on goal, but the Owls were able to come away and get the much-needed victory.
Right, but you also had a couple of players who ended up getting an early shower that night, which is why Tom Haney, a starting defender, is not in the lineup tonight, and Papa Ndoye, the starting striker, is not in the lineup tonight for the Mustangs. So in addition to having a new goalkeeper, you got a couple new field players because it was a very physical, tough game up in Philadelphia. You're right, the outcome probably wasn't predicted, but when you see a couple of your starters sent off, that changes things dramatically for any team.
Here's Learman possessing the ball. Good pickup and a blast into UCF territory. Simonson trying to run this one down. Trying not to push in the back. Back and forth with Yoni Sorokin. That'll be a nice matchup all night.
It will, it will. And Sorokin is, defined as a midfielder. He can play anywhere. He can support up front. He can also help in the back end. And given Simonson's size and speed up front, it wouldn't be surprising to see Sorokin spending a lot of time chasing number 23 around all night.
Sorokin, the reigning midfielder of the year in the American. Whole lot of award winners on the field tonight. Scoreless through the first 9 minutes of action. I think both teams just trying to feel each other out right now. Haven't had a shot on goal.
Right. Both teams will play a very patient style, and like you said, feeling out the opposition, seeing where some seams will be in the opposing front, trying to get through that middle third. One thing you may notice is a little water splashing up on the field. SMU waters down its grass right before kickoff after the warm-ups. And what that does is it allows the ball to skip and slide a little bit, and so that's another reason for the caution in the early going, figuring out how the ball's going to skid on that wet surface. And it's something both teams have to get used to.
Andres Hernandez Betancourt knocks that one out towards the near sideline. For UCF, they returned 20 lettermen, including 8 starters. Lots of freshmen and sophomores, though, on this team. So the future, of course, bright for them. And it's nice to have those fresh legs, guys, that you can just sit out there and run them.
It is. It is. Coach Calabrese has a recruiting factory going through Orlando. And it was interesting when we were talking to him during the week. You know, we were talking about Yoni Sorokin, who, as college athletes go, is the grizzled old man in the country, basically.
Vivi with the feed. And the score by Hadabu Berry. Berry, all conference as a freshman, comes away and gets his first goal of the season.
Nice job by Berry sneaking in at the back post, getting that cross from Phoebe. And you never want to see Phoebe with the cross from the left side. And it gets out in front of Cole Johnson, maybe a step slow getting over to the far side. And Hadabu Berry able to one-time it sort of off a short hop there and bury it into the upper right corner.
First assist of the year for Gino Vivi. He also has a goal scored, and UCF draws first blood here on the road.
Hadabu Berry is another one of these very dynamic players that the Knights will roll out. He may not dominate possession all night, but he is able to create chances because he's one of those guys that the ball seems to follow around. And you send it into the offensive third. The Mustangs are going to have to be really at top gear to stay with him. He's got a lot of wheels. You can see him coming again toward the far post as Phoebe's down to the corner flag. Dropping it back for Sorokin and eventually picked off by Noah Hilt. Finally finding Gabe Costa. That's the first time we've called his name 10 minutes into the game. And Gabriel Costa is a guy who the Mustangs have to have on the ball. He's incredibly creative, and he's really kind of a quarterback who sets up all of his teammates.
As it inside the 18, takes a shot against Ertl, and he'll smother it. So the first shot on goal for SMU this evening. There's a little more pressure put on SMU now that they're trailing 1-0. For Hadabu Berry, that's his first goal since 2018. He only had 2 for his career, though 1 came against SMU back in 2018.
Yeah, and he's a guy who's going to create a lot of chances, whether he's the one who ends up putting it in the net or not. He's a headache for opposing defenses.
So a very nice start for the Knights here in Dallas. Looking for a little lanyap. Can they do it again? Hadabu Berry with it right around the midfield. That back line for SMU has been so vaunted over the years. The defense has been very good under Coach Hudson, and an offense to match has made this team a normal in the Sweet 16. They've got 2 appearances in the Sweet 16 plus a trip to the Elite 8 under Coach Hudson, who's still a very young coach who's had a lot of success.
He is, and Kevin Hudson was a terrific player at SMU as well. But you're right, he's won a lot of games early in his career, and just having talked to other coaches in the industry, he is very, very highly thought of throughout the industry.
That feed sent in there. I believe that was intended for Lizinus. Missed him there.
It'll be interesting to see how Cole Johnson responds to the early goal. Obviously, every goalie wants to throw a shutout every time they take the field. But the response is sometimes as important as the ability to stop shots in the first place. Goalies are like pitchers in baseball. You have to have zero memory. Give up a 400-foot home run, you still got to throw a strike to the next batter. It'll be interesting to see how Cole Johnson responds. On the other end, Yannick Ertl, you don't have to worry about that. He's been around for 100 years. He's been doing this. Coach Calabrese was saying that if he hadn't been an international player, he might have gone on and been playing professionally now. but he opted instead to come back to school and work on his master's degree. But he has tons of experience. Nothing is going to face Ertl.
Villalobos with the feed across the box. No one there, though, to pick it up and dink it in. So we remain 1-0. We mentioned the success for Coach Hudson of SMU. Coach Calabrese has back-to-back regular season championships in the American and in the Sweet 16 last year.
You've got all of the recent regular season and tournament titles represented on the field tonight.
They'll shake this one wide. There's Anderson Rosa. Rosa has played almost every minute this season, rarely comes out. All but 8 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, he misses 8 minutes in his career. He's a guy that they have clearly identified as one of the anchors of the defense going forward, and he's just getting started. He's a freshman.
Starting since day one.
And now you see UCF playing the same game, being very patient, and Sorokin finding a gap, threading it forward, but they'll go back and forth just like the Mustangs will, trying to find a gap through which they can get the ball upfield.
That one sent up the field to Taylor.
Timo Humrick able to settle it, but gave it right away to Hadamu Berry. And now Roman Knox taking it back for the Mustangs.
Really need a strong backline performance today for SMU, with a true freshman making his first start in goal in Cole Johnson. For those tuning in, expecting to see the junior Shane Lanson not getting the start today and not dressed out.
And a lot of that for the strong performance on the back end is going to fall on Brandon Tervega, who had such a wonderful year last year after transferring to SMU from UCLA. Because you look at the guys next to him, Timo Humrick, transfer. Tobin Shanks, back up the last couple of years, who hadn't always played on the defense. He had been playing up front and in the midfield a little bit. So a lot of this is going to fall on Brandon Tervega, not only to clean things up, but to communicate very, very clearly. Traditionally, the communication falls to the goalkeeper. Cole Johnson's got a lot of things on his plate in his first start. Brandon Tervega is going to have to help him a lot.
Looks like two players there got their shins in a tussle. Going down is Caleb Frankie, the junior from Orlando, whose family has made the trip to Dallas to check out. Throw in will come now. Yoni Sorokin. He'll go across the field. Not bad. They'll open things up here. Preseason rankings came out, and these were two of the top teams chosen by the league's coaches, SMU and UCF. Those three early losses for UCF. Tough when you don't have your full complement of players. Tough when you don't have any non-conference games, Steve, to try and figure out your best bet on your roster.
That's true. That's true. I mean, every coach in every sport would like to open up the year with a couple of games where you can sort of work out the kinks and see who's really performed not just in practice but has elevated to a level where they can be effective in a game. There's none of that this year, and you know, and you talk about the full complement of players, there's not a team in the country that's going to have a full complement of players all year. So, you know, trying to predict who's going to win a conference or national title is even more of a guessing game than it normally is, but these are two of the very talented teams that certainly have a chance to compete with anybody.
Earlier this week, UCF lost Louis Perez, who ended up signing a pro contract. Perez with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds of the USL.
Perez is a wonderful player, and UCF obviously still has an awful lot of talent, but they'd be lying if they said they wouldn't love to have him back for another year. He's a terrific player who did an awful lot of things for this team.
He did play in one match this season, a former All-Conference and All-American midi, but now he heads to the next level of his career. We wish him the best. Ertl, the two-time keeper of the year, will put a boot into this one. And that is the SMU band that you hear.
Does Ertl look even bigger because he's wearing highlighter yellow from head to toe?
Hey, it doesn't matter that he's 60 yards away from us right now. That's a big body in goal.
He's a big man.
A collision. Two SMU players hit the deck. They're still down, and the whistles finally blow. This might be a a good omen for SMU as that ball was headed towards their goal. Trying to get the numbers on the players.
That's
on
Noah
the ground.
Hilt, who's down for SMU. And is that Sorokin who's down next to him?
Schmalbach. Number 9, Jonas Schmalbach, who's big, 6'2", 175 out of Venice, Italy. Both players look to be shaken up a little bit, and the officials will go check them out.
And Hilt is rattled. You know, he's getting checked out by Becky Riegel, the Mustangs trainer, because he got hit in the back of the head by Schmalbach. But Schmalbach got hit from behind as well. It's not like he lunged into Noah Hilt. There was a three-way collision in midair. And it was Tervega who got up and, you know, going for the ball. It didn't look like a dirty play by any of them. All three of them were just simply going for the ball, but Tervega drove Schmalbach into Hilt, and 2 of the 3 went down.
Number 9.
Schmalbach and Hilt are both leaving the field. My guess is they'll come to the sideline and get waved back in momentarily by the officials. Yeah, Schmalbach getting a quick drink. Hilt not even taking a seat in front of the SMU bench. So they'll do a drop ball at the back end of the center circle on the SMU side. And in a moment here, the official will wave both players back in.
We talked about the new faces coming for UCF. For SMU, 6 freshmen and 7 transfers since the end of the 2019 season. You know, they've been able to mine some of the best players in the country. Nice show of sportsmanship there. Both guys just dapped it up. They're ready to head back out on the field. But both these teams just loaded with talent. Nice to see it on display here tonight.
Yeah, and SMU is a place that had to bring in a lot of talent because they lost, I think it was 7 players from last year's roster, 3 drafted in MLS, and 4 more who signed pro contracts elsewhere. So you think about Garrett McLaughlin and Eddie Manjoma, Nicky Hernandez, Talon Maples. I mean, these are some major cogs in the SMU lineup who are gone now. So that's why you see people like Skage Simonsen transferring back to SMU, or a year ago, Brandon Tervega. It is absolutely a destination school. It's one of the marquee programs in the country.
In the Elite 8 in 2019.
And that's the standard. That's what's expected. I think by both of these schools, that's where they expect to be at the end of the year.
SMU allowing UCF to possess it here, and now they'll take it across midfield. Try to play this one up to the front forward line. They're going to call a slide tackle off SMU, so a free kick coming for UCF.
And that's going to be a card for Noah Hilt. Noah Hilt was going for the ball, came in just a bit late, and I think he had his spikes up a little bit.
That's the freshman Anderson Rosa, who's on the ground.
And Rosa's listed as a defender, but he's really been playing sort of a wingback position, coming up that left side a lot on overlapping runs. Nice to see Noah Hilt going to check on him there. Let him know he was trying to make a physical play, to be sure, but he wasn't trying to injure the guy. Noah Hilt, in a way, is sort of like SMU's answer to Yoni Sorokin. He is incredibly tough. He's not the flashy guy who's going to score the highlighter goals from one week to the next. But at the end of the day, if you're checked by Noah Hilt, you feel it, and you're tired, and you're sore the next day. He will wear you out. He is a pest. He's very strong. He's very physical, and he's the guy that nobody wants to play against.
This ball taken away from Adabu Berry. And Frankie, here's Gabriel Costa, preseason all-conference pick. Costa from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now they'll open things up off the back line.
Costa's another transfer. Came to SMU a couple of years ago from Azusa Pacific.
Hilt sends that one back.
Nice
Headed
job
back
by
in
Nick
off the
Taylor. Yeah, keeping it right in off the line.
Simonsen with a line here at the top of the box. And they're going to have his feet taken out from under him. He was able to stay upright. But a free kick coming for SMU right at the top of the penalty box.
Yeah, the Knights pretty upset with that call, and you can understand their argument because, as you said, Simonsen was not taken to the ground by that. If he had kept possession, I think it's safe to say that the official's whistle never would have come out. But he did get bumped off the ball, and he was clearly looking for a shot from just outside the top of the 18. So a whistle that sets up the Mustangs with a free kick in a pretty nice spot. Gabriel Costa's actually pulled it back about 6 or 8 yards from where the contact was made. But this is very much within range for both Gabriel Costa and Knut Olander, both of whom are standing over the ball.
Costa stares in intently at Ertl. A wall of 4 defenders in front of him. A chance for SMU to equalize it. He'll take it himself. It had good curl, but it catches the side.
A little bit too much curl.
And it's a windy night, too.
It is a windy night, and it's sort of a swirling wind, but from where we're standing, at least, it feels like it's blowing into us. And if it's that same way out on the field, that means the wind pulled the ball back a little bit more. But yes, Gabriel Costa can wrap a ball around a tree and get it where he wants it. The control he has on shots is absurd. Also, by having Skage Simonsen in that wall up front, you've got a 6'3" blinder in front of either the defenders or the opposing goalie. And that allows Costa more choices to shoot because the goalie's view will be obstructed by Simonsen.
Here's Villalobos. They'll pass it out to the right. Here's Vivi. No, this one's knocked away. No whistle. Play continues.
Kevin Hudson wants a whistle, and he's absolutely right. Frankie pulled down Roman Knox.
Vivi again sends this one in, but softly enough for Johnson to be able to pick it up.
And it was soft. It was a harder shot than it looked like because it floated in a little bit softly because it hit off of Tobin Shanks and got bumped up in the air and came curling in on Johnson with a topspin. Didn't look like a very hard shot, but nice grab by Johnson.
We talked with both these coaches about how the pandemic affected them and what COVID did to senior seasons, and it was just tough on both teams, tough on every team in the NCAA. Here's SMU with it, top of the box. Nice little feed to Skage, puts it up and over the top of the crossbar. Not a bad thought, just a little too much heat under it.
That's the kind of thing Costa will do. He's staring at a wall of 4 or 5 defenders, and he pulls out his 9-iron and just flips it over the top, looking for Skage Simonsen. And Simonsen's been practicing with him for a couple of months now, and so he's a little bit used to that. But you don't see a lot of players just flipping it like that very softly and dropping it right in front of a teammate. It's a very difficult pass to make. And if Simonsen had held back just another step or two, he would have been one-on-one with Yannick Ertl.
This one will be out of play. Coach Calabrese was talking about how last fall was supposed to be the springboard to the pros for a couple of his seniors, but the pandemic stood in the way, and that led to so many players not having that complete scouting evaluation.
Right.
He was able to get guys to come back. Now you've got an opportunity this spring to really show out.
Yeah, that's true, and it's really made for. He was talking about other conferences that did play in the fall, like the ACC played, and therefore it was no coincidence that a lot of drafted players came out of, Virginia and Wake Forest and North Carolina and teams like that, simply because they had more recent performances for the professional scouts to watch, and what that may do in reverse there is have more senior talent in the other conferences like the American. Certainly SMU has quite a bit, as does UCF, as does Tulsa. There are a lot of teams in this league with some very gifted older players.
Lizeness takes that one. It's out of play, and it'll be SMU ball. Well, I thought the approach for UCF's Coach Calabrese, was nice. He said, we didn't try and recruit the players to come back. This is just kind of a unique situation for everybody. We decided to listen to them and support them, whatever decision they made. For those who returned, he just wants this semester to be their swan song.
Yeah, and both of these coaches take a very academic approach. They both believe that, they understand, look, not everybody on the team is going to play professionally at any level. Most of them won't. So they certainly support those guys who want to take that leap and make a go of it as a professional player. But they also both coach at schools that have fine graduate programs. If you've already had 4 years, both teams are littered with guys who have very high grades and strong academic performances. And believe me, the coaches are thrilled to have those guys back, whether it's Yoni Sorokin or Brandon Tervega or people like that who could have gone on but didn't.
Taylor with a nice feed up to the top of the offense, and Simonsen, who gets his legs taken out from under him. This is near the same spot where SMU just had a free kick.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, Knut Allender and Gabriel Costa will line up to take every free kick this year probably, or most of them. And the two of them, they're both very gifted. They both can do a lot of things, whether it's just blasting a line drive or curling it around a line, bending it over the top of a line. It'll be interesting to see if Costa takes this one again, and if so, if he tries the same corner. He was aiming at upper left last time, and now, the wind feels like it's paused just for a second.
Here's Costa. That one's deflected.
And that one was a very different shot. He took a low line drive, tried to blast it through a gap in the wall, and I think it might have been Sorokin who took that in the shoulder blade, and it went straight up in the air, and Yannick Ertl was able to make a fair catch in the back end.
A little over 25 minutes into our first half, and a 1-0 lead for UCF. Saturday night action on the Hilltop here in Dallas. Little acceleration for SMU off the back line, trying to get it up towards the midfield, and two bodies collide. Play will resume.
Very quick restart. And I think the second whistle blew because the ball never came to a complete stop before the free kick was taken. So that was Humrick and Villalobos who collided, and Villalobos took the short end of that collision.
Here's Learman with it. Back towards the middle of the field. Got to be impressed with UCF early on, possessing the ball like they like. Got a goal from Hadabu Berry. And a little early pressure on the home team.
Yeah, and quite honestly, these teams like to do the same thing, and so far UCF has done it better. And by that, I just mean possessing the ball, keeping it away. The Mustangs have had a few runs into the offensive third, but we've certainly spent a lot more time looking at the south end of the field where UCF has had it in the Mustangs' defensive end. They've maintained possession a little bit better.
That ball intended for Berry, a little too much zip on it, and it got by him, out of play. Throw-in coming from Anderson Rosa.
The zip on that ball might have been amplified a little bit by the water from the sprinklers turned on before the game, but at this point, most of that's probably wiped up anyway or evaporated.
Should be a throw-in coming for the Mustangs. Another player loses their legs. No stoppage here. They've got it on the near sideline.
Costa tried to sell that one. He got his feet taken out, and I think it would have been certainly acceptable if a whistle had been blown. But just to make sure, he did dive straight at the official, and you could hear him helping with the call.
Timo
that
Humrick
didn't come.
Humrick gets a lot of air under that one, sends it into that far west corner.
Hilt looked like he was thinking of teeing it up from 30 yards out, but thought otherwise.
Top of the box, Simonson surrounded by a wall of players. SMU trying to keep possession on UCF's side of the field, and do.
And what we just saw was what Simonson's going to deal with all night, which is the ball got to him and he was immediately surrounded by 4 black jerseys. And when you play only one striker up front, that's what he's got to deal with. Simonson is both a technical player and he's a big, strong guy who can handle some of that.
Nice job on defense there by Giannis Learman. Takes away maybe a scoring opportunity. And they'll feed this one up the field. At St. John's last year, Simonson, a big part of their offense, led the team with 6 assists. Scored a goal early and kind of announced his presence for SMU in the first 2 matches.
Yeah, I think Simonson's going to be a really nice addition to this team going forward. He can do an awful lot of things, and like you said, he's already got some college experience and some international experience. It's not like he really has to get his feet wet as, maybe an 18-year-old freshman might in some cases.
Number 22, Luca Dorado, is ready to substitute in, and they will send him in. He'll come in for Jonas Schmalbach. Dorado's a talented player, a freshman from Sao Paulo, Brazil. already has 13 shots attempted, 8 of them on goal. Nice to see so many rookies who have come into the program getting a chance to start from the very beginning.
Yeah, and it was like we were saying earlier, Coach Calabrese just has a fountain of talent coming through Orlando, and Dorado's another one. It's almost like you don't have to replace, you just reload.
Free kick coming for SMU after Allender brought down.
Brandon Cervega is lobbying for a yellow card against UCF after that Villalobos, who was crowding, not giving the required space for the free kick. I don't think anybody thought a yellow was going to come out, but it never hurts to play a little politics with the officials. Maybe you get a help with a call later on.
Skage with his jersey grabbed, not able to catch up with the ball. Ertl will get it back and put a boot into it. SMU will send that back into UCF territory. Nice job by the back line of the Knights to clean it up. There's a shove in the back. That one went against UCF.
And that cleaning up was no small task. That was Rosa Anderson, the freshman, who got a shoulder into Knut Allender. And Knut Allender is a big, strong player. So to bump him off the ball and keep possession.
Here's SMU with some numbers. Top of the box. Boy, that one's way high. That'll get all the way back towards the parking garage here at Westcott Field. And now we'll see some substitutions for SMU. A freshman coming in, number 27, Harvey Castro from Flower Mound. And they'll also bring in Wyatt Priest, a junior from Coppell, Texas.
Yeah, Wyatt Priest has been at SMU for a couple of years, and he's a very sort of feisty, gritty kind of player. He's played some up front, some in the midfield. Sort of got some Noah Hilt in him in the sense that he's not a lot of fun to play against. He will chase and harass people all day, and then Castro is one of these talented freshmen that Kevin Hudson has brought to Dallas.
So Simonson will substitute out, and with him out from the top of your offense, do we look for Costa maybe to be more of a scoring threat?
Yeah, you can see him pinching forward now, but Priest is the one who's going to go up there and be that target in the front end. And Priest is another guy who, again, when SMU goes with the alignment of just one forward, he doesn't mind when it gets a little physical and people start bumping each other, and he'll dish it right back. He's a tough, physical, gritty player.
UCF with 9 players on SMU's side of the field, looking very aggressive here, and this one will go 50 yards and head out of play. So a kick in coming, and the goal kick for Cole Johnson. Johnson gave up the early goal. They haven't had a big chance against him since. Costa will take a seat, and coming in for him is Smith Hasty, number 21 from Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, so the complexion of the team has really changed a bit with Skage Simonson and now Gabriel Costa coming out. Those are two of your experienced and highly technical players, and with Smith Hasty and Priest up front, it's almost like a hockey team putting in a grinder line. I'll run through you if I can't get around you, that kind of approach. And it'll be interesting to see how this little more, they talk about adding a little sandpaper to the lineup. It'll be interesting to see how that pays off here for the Mustangs.
Nice job to save that, kick it out of play, and slow down SMU. Here comes Nick Taylor with the throw in. Taylor also out of Coppell, Texas, 5'9", 160-pound junior.
And yet another one of the transfers. Taylor started his college career at New Mexico. And we've got a man down for UCF. It is Lizenus, Andrew Lizenus up front. I'm wondering if it's a cramp. From where we're standing, you can't really see whether it's an ankle or a calf that's being looked at.
That's not good. He's a freshman, but he's made 5 starts, 4 shots, 2 of them on goal, so he's part of their offense right now, just struggling. I think it's...
Yeah, and he's created a couple chances here in the first 35 minutes for the Knights.
Well, there wasn't a lot of contact there, but he's on the ground.
Good to see him get up on his... I mean, think with the trainer out there, he's going to have to come out at least momentarily. He may turn around, grab a drink, and head right back into the lineup. Or maybe he takes a seat for the last 10 minutes of the first half. But he is walking off under his own power, a little bit gingerly. And it was his right lower leg. Whether it was his ankle or calf, I'm not sure.
To this point in the game, we haven't seen a corner from either team. 3 shots for UCF, 2 of them on goal. 4 shots for SMU, only 1 on goal. And a throw-in coming from Nick Taylor next. Looks like Beto Idrach from Orlando, Florida will come in for Lizinus. Let's hope he's all right.
Yeah, the 4th official just said something to Lizinus as he came off the field, and he sort of shook his head as if to say, I'll be okay, but you know, it's hard to read the body language. I don't know if he took a shot in the ankle or the calf, or if he's just trying to walk something off, a sprain or a twist of some kind.
Good little feed on the offense. They found a seam. Here's Taylor trying to make something happen. And UCF will clear it.
That ball curled out of bounds and back in. And the linesman on the near side got his flag up.
Humrick goes across the field with it. Now they'll open up the offense with Costa and Simonson out. They've got it inside the penalty box, top of the box. Good deflection there, and UCF takes control.
Cleared out by Hernandez. And at that point, you're willing to sacrifice the throw-in just to sort of stem the tide as the Mustangs got to push into the offensive third.
That'll be a goal kick coming up for Ertl. Just a throw in.
Yeah, that was deflected off of Harvey Castro on the far side, the freshman who just checked in a couple of moments ago. You've seen players from both sides try to creep forward 5 or 10 yards on some of these throw-ins. That time, Rosa Anderson was caught, pulled back a little bit.
One of the Knights players taken down. A little physical here in the first half, but nothing we've seen rises to the level of dirty.
No, not at all. I mean, there was a little bump in the ankle, and yeah, he went down. The Mustangs all pleaded their case. You're never going to see an official change his call on something like that.
Nice little job of stepping in front of that pass. SMU trying to open it up wide at top of the box.
Hollander had it taken away, and they got it right back, and then he got pulled to the ground. You know, it's hard to say in that matchup how much of a pull there was, because on the one hand, Hollander's a big, strong player. On the other hand, that was Yoni Sorokin, the ex-Israeli military officer. My guess is if he wants to pull you to the ground, he can do that to anybody on the field.
So on these previous free kicks, we saw Costa and we saw Hollander. Hollander in the mix right now, and Noah Hilt
right
could be the option here. Hilt, the senior from Centennial, Colorado.
From outside the left post, I wouldn't be surprised if it is Hilt, and it is.
Hilt, a one-hopper right into the hands of Ertl. So a couple of shots on goal, and that's all that SMU has mustered so far.
It'd be interesting to see if, as Cole Johnson comes way out of his net to clear that one for the Mustangs, it'd be interested to see if Hilt had taken that shot, let's say in the first 10 minutes rather than the last 10 minutes of the half, because that ball never got higher than waist high on the defenders and sort of skipped a little on the grass. And if the grass had a little more water still, would that have gotten past Yannick Ertl? Hard to say.
Anderson Rosa taken down. They'll be able to put the ball back in play.
Rosa's been earning his minutes today, too. He's been taken down several times.
6 matches for UCF, 6 starts for the freshman. Adabu Berry not able to take that one. Knocked out, and I believe we'll have our first corner for UCF.
Barry did a nice job spinning away from Nick Taylor and keeping the ball inbounds on the near sideline. But then Timo Humrick able to come in behind and clean up, knocking the ball over the end line and sending the Knights to the corner flag. With Andres Hernandez teeing it up in the southwest corner of Westcott Field.
Learman is in goal. Can he get a feed? This one's in front of the net, headed down by SMU, and a whistle blows. I think an SMU player came down, and they are unhappy about the call, pleading their case. Might have been an aggressive takedown. Steve, let's take a look closer at the replay.
Sorokin went up. There was maybe a little. Oh, okay. That was the.
The
pain was on the follow-up.
Gut.
After the ball got over two players, Allender already down on the ground and took a shot as the ball was kicked right into his midsection.
Nice to see his teammates up for him. Learman with it. Sends it across the field. Here's Edrach. The feed to Barry. Barry, nifty footwork. He'll send it back up, trying to open up the offense a little bit.
Yeah, you saw the quick footwork from Barry, but nice job by Nick Taylor. First standing him up the first time and then keeping his feet the second and sliding in to toe poke that ball away. We'll have another corner kick coming up for the Knights.
Barry, the only offense in our game. He was assisted on his goal by Vivi. This will be Andres Hernandez Betancourt.
And as the players convene just inside the 18.
Villalobos is in goal. Can't get the header, and Johnson snags that one and comes down pretty hard, though. Maybe a 3 or 4 foot drop right onto his hip. He's tough. He'll shake it off.
When we had the corner a moment ago, Sorokin and Knut Allender collided, and Allender landed on the ground. Before this corner kick, the two of them went and shook hands just to say, hey, no hard feelings.
Sportsmanship here at the NCAA level in the American.
But isn't that usually followed by another collision where they both end up on the ground again?
Not a bad job by Villalobos trying to dribble through two defenders. Loses it there.
Villalobos is a terrific player, very versatile. Coach Calabrese was talking about he's another one of these guys who could play an awful lot of roles and does. And on that play, he was basically hip checked by 3 different players before he was finally bumped off the ball. Really nice job keeping possession. And I think all 3 of those players were bigger than he is, too. So there was some real contact there.
Wyatt Priest trying to track down that last ball, number 19, after he subbed in. Trying to create some offense for SMU, who trails 1-0. Little miscommunication there. Allender knocks it out. That was intended for Harvey Castro. Should be a throw-in coming for UCF. The Knights would love to leave Dallas not only with a win, but to even up their ledger in 3 wins against 3 losses and move up the leaderboard.
Yeah, and a victory is always nice, but beating the team that's in first place in your conference and doing it on their field, that would feel awfully good for the Knights if they can get out of here with a victory tonight.
Little sprint down the field. This is Taylor. Can't catch up with it. But we talked about the loss to Temple last week. We were able to see the Memphis game in person, and whether it was Costa, Simonson, it looked like Papa Indoy with a pair of goals.
Right.
Looked like everybody got on track that night on offense for SMU.
Yeah. I mean, this is a team that has an awful lot of offensive talent. And so to be sitting here 2.5 minutes before halftime with a 1-0 deficit may be disappointing, to be sure, but it's certainly not a cause for panic. To say there's lots of time left is an understatement, and this is a team that has a lot of options. Gabriel Costa can create offense from anywhere. Knut Allender, Skage Simonson, some of the guys who've come in, Wyatt Priest. There are a lot of guys who can score. But you're right, 5 goals in 1 half against Memphis was a very impressive showing, especially with a last-minute move from this field over to the artificial turf after you've been practicing on the grass all week.
Here's Humrick. Takes it near side, puts it up the field to Taylor. Taylor trying to get past 2 defenders. He's inside the penalty box, now sets it up to the top. Here's a shot at Ertl. Dives to his left and smothers it.
Henry Smith-Hasty. Henry Smith-Hasty did that last year. You know, he came in as sort of a bit part reserve guy who would come in for 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes. And after quietly not being around the ball, he would unleash one from 30 yards. He had one of the best long goals last year. I can't remember who it was against, but he is very much a guy who has the capability to strike from distance. And if the goalie's not paying attention, it can cost a team.
Possession will stay with UCF. Knights will throw it in from the far sideline. There's Rosa. 1 minute left in the half.
It'll be interesting to see if either team really makes a push to try to get a chance in the last 50 seconds, or if they just sort of tap the brakes and retreat to regroup at the intermission.
Couple of hops and that'll get it right back to Ertl. 35 seconds remaining. Could be one last shot for UCF against Johnson, the freshman goalkeeper for SMU. SMU, the #1 scoring offense in the nation, outscoring their opponents 14-2 in their 4 first games, in danger of being shut out for 3 halves in a row. Adebouberry sends this one up towards the box, and that should do it. A very impressive first half showing by UCF, scoring a goal, putting pressure on SMU. Aggressive, try and put some pressure on Johnson, the freshman who's in goal for SMU. Can't wait to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, if I'm Coach Calabrese, I spent the entire halftime telling them to just pull the trigger and just launch shots from every corner of the field. And, you know, if Cole Johnson stops them all, then you tip your hat and you say nice job to the freshman netminder. But I think you have to test him. Other than the one shot that got in from very close range, I think he wasn't tested a whole lot.
He faced 3 shots. One of them was the goal, the other was a save. This one's netted back. If UCF could generate the win here tonight, it would be the best win on their ledger so far in 2021. About halfway through the season for these teams, and you just can't count on being able to play games. You don't know how COVID and the pandemic are going to affect everyone week to week. You want to do the best for the student athletes, keep everyone happy and healthy. We're happy to get this match in tonight. This is the first home game of the year, and SMU's already played 5 matches.
And that's been the mantra of every coach in every sport. You wake up, you don't know who's going to be in your email or your voicemail. Whether practice is canceled, a trip is rearranged, a game has been rescheduled or postponed. It's an adjustment business on a daily basis for every coach in every sport.
Costa with some nifty footwork takes possession of it right back up towards the midfield. Brandon Tervega with the ball. Tervega from Highland Village, Texas. That's over near Flower Mound and Louisville in the Dallas area. Far side of the field, pushing in on the box. Little feed stepped in by the back line. Nice defensive presence for UCF.
Cole Johnson just came about 40 yards off his line to push that ball up to a teammate. And I know he wasn't under any duress, but that's the kind of move that gives coaches gray hair and sleepless nights.
Tervega again. Little pressure comes up on him. He'll cut inside. Edrach, who stayed in after substituting. Little pressure there. Now the Mustangs coming from the left side. That one slices in front of the goal.
And Knut Allender was about 1 step away from getting his head on an open net, on a ball in front of an open net at the back post. It's a really, really nice cross. But the pressure up front by UCF was what we talked about at the beginning of the game. The Mustangs have some new faces in the back. Coach Calabrese told us during the week he likes to press high and test the opposing defense. And it looks like that's the Knights' approach, at least for the beginning of the second half here. See what Tobin Shanks and Timo Humrick, who's on the ball right now. See what they do under pressure, whether they can be forced into making some mistakes.
Humrick to Warrington. Warrington opens it up, goes to the middle of the field. Here's Hilt. Hilt possesses, gets out of the way of the official. Here's a little speed to the top of the box.
Yeah, nice little jets there by Roman Knox, splitting a couple of UCF defenders, getting into the offensive third. And
he's going to generate a free kick coming.
He is. He tried to generate a PK by diving all the way across the 18 into the box, but the officials were having none of that. And so they will tee it up. Even now, Costa's trying to tee it up about 23 or 4 yards out and is being told to pull it back, I think.
That's Luca Dorado. And now they back it up. Costa and Allender for SMU.
And the Knights, like so many teams, trying to shorten that mandatory 10-yard gap between the ball and the defensive wall, so the official had to walk it off for them, just to remind them.
Ertl in the middle of goal. It'll be Allender right into the gut of Ertl. So a little misdirection. Allender took it that time. And UCF off to the races.
Yeah, and I think it was important to see Allender do it simply to show the Knights that both of them can. So when they have another free kick, the Knights don't line up and assume every kick is going to be Gabriel Costa. Allender very capable of delivering a good strike as well.
All 10 players for UCF on SMU side of the field right now. An aggressive stance. Dorado will bring this one back. And the back line for SMU comes through. UCF will have to retreat here after a botched scoring opportunity. It's very easy to notice when you take a look at the roster for UCF. They have a very international flair. It's nice to see Coach Calabrese. He's able to go all over the world, literally, and just come away and bring some of the best players to Orlando. It makes up more than half their roster. 7 Knights from Europe, 5 from South America. They have focused on recruiting the best around the world. They're doing a great job.
And, of course, Yoni Sorokin,
who's technically from Asia. Ertl comes in, takes that one away.
Does not include Orlando, I believe. Okay, again, we talked earlier about how Yannick Ertl's size might be impressive in part because of the highlighter yellow uniform. Well, when he comes out of his goal at 100 miles an hour and slides under players, somehow it just looks more dramatic because of the color.
And they might have to give him a little leeway, too.
Wouldn't you?
Well, I'm not a D1 scholarship athlete.
He's a big man. He is a very big man. And when he comes out, and he's got some quickness, too. He can cover some ground. I wouldn't want to hit him.
Ertl, for his career, has 13 shutouts. That's good for 6th all-time in UCF history. He does have 1 on clean sheet this year. SMU trying to turn around the offense, bring it up the field. There's a blast that hugs the sideline, gets up into that top corner, and Siemenson's trying to track it down. Learman will protect it, and Ertl will open up to the back line. Anderson Rosa fighting for possession with it, still in play.
Nice job by Rosa, keeping the ball away from Noah Hilt. Almost kept possession for the Knights.
Can they get a feed to the top of the offense? Maybe to Taylor, maybe to Costa. The pep band for SMU plays on here at Westcott Field. We'll have a brand new stadium in a year. They are currently undergoing renovations. Here's some aggressive running by Dorado, the freshman. He'll go over the back line. Adabu Berry, who already has 1 goal in the game. They're going to set this one up to Dorado. The left-footed kick is deflected by SMU. Still in play in front of the box and finally cleared. Boy, Dorado is fast and powerful from that left side.
He is, and he's got a very quick trigger. He ran onto that ball and one-timed it from a sharp angle. It got deflected in front of Cole Johnson. I think it may have been Brandon Tervega who got a foot on it. But Dorado's Dorado came off the bench, what, 35 minutes into the game? He looks like he's going to be a handful as well.
Little hip check there, and SMU will draw the whistle. That's Caleb Frankie, the junior out of FIU. Last year, 5 goals with the Panthers.
And that hip check drew a yellow card for Timo Humrick.
Humrick's not small either, 6'1", 195 pounds.
Yeah, he's a pretty sturdy defender, and when he gets a hip into you, you're going down.
Nice little opportunity to put one in play and have some zip behind it. Johnson gets ready in goal for SMU.
Gino Vivi and Andres Hernandez lining up over the ball for UCF, and just like when Costa and Allender are over a free kick for SMU, 2 very viable choices here for the Knights. You can't commit entirely to either one.
SMU comes set on defense. Vivi sends this one in, and Johnson's got his mitts on it. That one went through some traffic, but he saw it clearly and stopped the scoring threat.
Yeah, nice to see Johnson pull that down. You'd like to see him maybe go to a little higher point and snatch it out of the air. He didn't catch it a whole lot above the heads of a couple of players in front of him. And having the benefit of using his mitts, you'd like to see him grab it at a higher point and eliminate any confusion as to who's going to end up with it.
You mentioned earlier the pro players selected for SMU. UCF had 2 players selected in the MLS Super Draft. Cal Jennings, and he is no longer with the team, selected in the first round by FC Dallas, and Jonathan Dean in the 32nd spot by the Orlando City Soccer Club. Both of them moving on as an SMU player goes down. So pro players a season ago, all over this pitch.
Right, and you saw a future pro player just end up on the pitch right there as Gabriel Costa got taken down. Cal Jennings, phenomenal scorer for UCF. If I'm not mistaken, he has just about every record in the book for the Knights. And last year, he and Garrett McLaughlin of SMU were in a battle for Offensive Player of the Year in the American Athletic Conference, and it was Jennings who won the award, and deservedly so. I mean, you couldn't object to either one of them winning it. They were 2 of the most dynamic offensive players in the country.
Netminder for UCF, Yannick Erdl, directing traffic, barking out orders. He likes what he sees now and gets in between the sticks. Will it be Allender or Costa? Costa with it, sends it in, and that's bumped away and out of bounds. Corner kick coming for SMU. That ball had some zip to it.
It did, and that was a knuckleball. Costa has the ability to strike it with no spin, and it looked like it sort of wobbled in front of Erdl a little bit.
Wow.
And so, I mean, you see on the replay, he didn't even try to catch it. He just wanted to get a fist on it, knock it out of there, and change it up. Corner kick.
This will be Allender, sends it in, and that's deflected by the back line. Nice job by UCF. That'll just be knocked out, and the defense will reset for SMU. Nick Taylor sends it out.
I wonder if Taylor just saw some of the blue and white jerseys on the bench, because there was no teammate within shouting distance of that ball as he headed it out of bounds.
Coach Calabrese all-time 122 victories in the Sweet 16 last season. Just can't count on what's going to happen in 2021 because of COVID and the pandemic. The Knights pushing it up the near sideline. Can't count on making the NCAA tournament. It's a smaller field this year for many sports. Might just have to make your hay in the regular season if you're going to hang your hat on anything. A chance for them to get a much-needed victory against a top 10 team on the road. They're going to try and make this 1-0 lead stand up. Allender puts some pressure on that one. And the ball will be out. Throw incoming for the Knights.
The Knights would certainly be happy to walk out of here with a 1-0 victory, but they have so many offensive threats that they're, as Dorado handballs it down in front of Lane Warrington, giving a free kick to the Mustangs. They have so many offensive threats that it adds to the difficulty of playing catch-up, because if you're the Mustangs, you can't just throw 9 or 10 guys up front. and try to get that equalizer, because
they're going to burn you.
They're going to kill you on a counterattack if you do that. Right. So it makes it awfully hard to play catch-up against a team that has so much firepower. Just like if the score were reversed.
That was a play through to Simonson. They just kind of got their wires crossed there. Ertl will take it out of play.
Yeah, and you can see Simonson sort of threw his hands up there a little bit of frustration because he was just off of that pass. But being the lone guy up front, passes have to be nice fair catch by Kevin Hudson on the bench.
Former D1 athlete.
That's right, but he didn't do a lot of catching. But Simonson, you know, every time he makes a run, either straight forward toward the goal or on a diagonal run across the field, he's got 2 or 3 black jerseys literally looking like a shadow right next to him. And it's awfully hard to connect, and the Mustangs have to be more patient building out of the back and through the middle third.
Dorado and Tobin Shanks get caught up. Dorado slow to get up.
Even through our headphones, we could hear Dorado after that collision, and I think Tobin Shanks might be a little lucky to get away with without seeing a card.
Johnson's got to come out of goal and picks that one up.
Mauricio Villalobos had his hands on his head because he gave a pass into the center, and had he kept running, he would have had a give and go and been one-on-one with Cole Johnson at point-blank range. And I think he may be as frustrated with himself for breaking off that run as he was with a teammate not getting a ball back to him.
Here's VV 1v1 in the corner. He's going to bring this one out. Gives that up. Rosa part of it. Curling in from the left side is Villalobos. Now looking for Vivi. Vivi with the turn. Wow, nifty move at the top of the box. Adabu Berry, 1v1, just past the crossbar. That was a good look at an open goal.
Yeah, Gino Vivi, we see why he's such a highly dangerous player. He had 3 defenders around him, not flustered at all, and Adabu Berry missed his second goal by inches.
Wow.
He had a little curl on it, needed a little bit more, and if he'd been able to curl it, there's no way Cole Johnson would have reached it.
There's a takedown that won't stop play. Again, UCF looking so aggressive on SMU's side of the field. Mustangs will take it back here. Hollander can't control it. VV, 5'7", 140 pounds, still in his sophomore season. The reigning American Rookie of the Year, hails from San Jose, Costa Rica.
If you're an opposing coach, you'd love to see him be a senior rather than a sophomore.
Or somebody draft him immediately.
Yeah, he's a terrific player, and he's only going to get better.
Back line for UCF playing keep away. They'll send this up the field to Rosa, who hails from Brazil. Hollander trying to take it away from him outright. Keeps it on the line, and the whistle blows. And I think maybe the hand of Rosa ran into the cleat of Hollander.
I think you're right. Hollander certainly didn't think that he committed a penalty. You know, he wasn't trying to bump him, and you see him going over to check on Rosa now. I think you're right. I think he inadvertently stepped on Rosa's hand while Rosa was trying to get up. And, you know, it's bad enough having a full-grown man stand on your hand, but doing it wearing cleats, that cannot be comfortable. But not surprisingly, Anderson Rosa looks like he has no intention of coming out of the game.
Yeah, he did. A glancing blow, but that one had to hurt. Rosa stays in, pulls up, and takes possession of the ball. Nice job. Villalobos sends it towards the far sideline. Little throw in coming for the Knights. That'll be Adabu Berry. Berry with our match's only goal so far, his first of the season. Dribbling into the penalty box. Now they'll give it away. Deflected by SMU.
Costa being chased by a couple. Got to figure out a way to get it through to Simonson. But again, Simonson double teamed, and if you put it out in front with enough room for him to run onto it, Yannick Ertl able to come out and clear it for the Knights. There's just not a lot of room up front at all for Simonson. The Knights have done a very good job just really bottling him up.
In the half so far, UCF has taken 4 shots. SMU with a pair. We are 50 minutes plus into the game, and Ertl pitching the shutout. The freshman Johnson gets a good boot under that one. Up to the midfield. And here's a feed to Simonson. Shading to his right. Players all around him, and UCF takes it away. Not a lot of help in front of him. Wow, nice play there by Vivi.
Yeah, and then a nice play by Noah Hilt as well to come backtrack and punch it away, getting it back for SMU. Simonson taking a shot in the ribs.
Hilt with it. Dorado tries to track that one down. Now it's Barry. Barry kicks it back to the defensive line. The Mustangs got to press a little bit here.
Yeah, they do. I think you have to press to try to create some chances, and I think a lot of this will start to fall on Lane Warrington and Nick Taylor on the outside of the SMU midfield. Both are guys who are very, very fast up and down the flanks, and if they can get to some balls in the offensive third, you can draw some of that defensive attention away from the middle of the field where Skage Simonson is trying to find some room.
Oh no, wide open look, and this one's off. Boy, great opportunity for UCF, but they're not able to finish.
And they're calling a penalty kick. Cole Johnson came out. Is that Dorado he took down?
See what the replay says. Back line for SMU.
Absolutely.
Not able to come through there.
And the goalie's job there, of course, you've got to just get as big as you can and throw all your limbs out trying to occupy as much space as possible. But the problem is if you're charging out with everything flailing like that, you're going to hit. You have a very good chance of hitting the offensive player. And in the box, you know, it's up to the officials' interpretation. I think there's certainly a very valid call here, setting up a PK.
It'll be Yoni Sorokin, the senior for UCF, against the freshman Johnson. And it just curls inside to take a 2-0 lead here at SMU's field. Sorokin comes away with the goal, his second of the season.
This becomes very big for Cole Johnson because the first goal that Hadabu Barry got in the first part of the first half, that was one thing. It was a cross. Barry was right on the doorstep and shot from point-blank range. Now you've got a freshman goalie who not only gives up a penalty kick, which are very, very difficult to stop. A good shooter should score 90 to 95% of the time anyway, but it was a result of Johnson's foul. And so how he responds to this will be critical.
The midfielder of the year last season comes through and gives his team a little breathing room. Now 2-0 UCF. Very impressive sophomore and junior years for Sorokin. He combined for 9 goals. He's already got 2 now as a senior.
If there's any way Scott Calabrese can keep him around until he's old enough to just retire instead of graduating, he probably will.
The Knights right back at it here on SMU's side of the pitch. And I understand we're at field level watching the game. We have some monitors. We're not elevated like you would normally be, but it looks like the back line for SMU is just a little bit out of sorts right now. SMU not quite able to keep up with UCF. They've made the most of their scoring chances.
Yeah, and you got to remember that so much of what gets done on the back end, obviously there's a lot of technical work, but a lot of it is communication, and that's one area where they missed. Tom Haney.
Warrington bends one in. Warrington will get this one back.
Tom Haney is a normal starter. He's a junior who's sitting out tonight because he picked up a red card last week against Temple. And he's not only a big body on the back end.
Here's a feed to Ollender, 1v1. past Ertl, and it's knocked away. A great deflection by UCF to save the goal.
Fantastic job by Andres Hernandez. The ball got through Ertl, and Hernandez never broke stride, chased it down, and was able to flick it wide before it got into the goal. Play of the game right there by Hernandez.
Great defensive stop.
And look at him. He ends up in the back of the net. He'll take it all day.
This one's fed in off the top of the crossbar and over the top of the box. It'll be another corner kick coming for SMU. Boy, that's 2 instances in a row for the SMU offense that gave Coach Calabrese a little pause.
Yeah, and I think the initial call may have been a goal kick because I believe every Mustang on the field threw his hand up in objection to the call.
Whistles blow. This will be against SMU. Goal kick coming for the Knights. Harvey Castro ready to sub in for SMU. And he'll have to wait as we're underway. Ertl with a low liner that's got a lot of carry to it.
Shanks, a big body in the back with a couple of headers to clear it out.
Simonson kicks it back, then sprints towards the goal. Costa cleans it up, comes back with it. Here's Hilt. Hilt feeds the middle to Simonson.
Back to Allender.
Allender can't come away with it, though.
He didn't come away with it, but he did play it off of a UCF defender. So after no corners in the first half, this is what, 4? 5 the second half. Certainly a lot more urgency for the Mustangs, and they have to with 23.5 minutes left.
They're underway. A throw into the box. Ertl can't get his hands on it, and UCF's able to clear it. Not only that, they've got some numbers on offense. Look at Dorado sprinting past everybody. He wants the feed. Dorado's got it at the top of the box. Sends one in, and it's wide of the pipes.
Nice job by Lane Warrington backtracking, getting a foot on that. But in doing so, he gave them a corner, and he almost slowed it up enough so that I believe it was Barry coming in the backside, almost got there to the back post and would have had an open net for what would have been his second. Instead, it's a corner for Anderson Rosa.
Big moment for the freshman, Cole Johnson, as he's facing the corner here. Just over 22 minutes remaining in our match. The corner is bent in and headed clear by SMU. Hernandez Betancourt sends it into the corner. Can Vivi come away with it? A little high for a cross. Cleared out again. Sorokin will open things up, try and unclear some of this traffic. Castro still waiting to sub in at the next stoppage for SMU. That one's deflected by the Mustangs.
Knocked down by Tervega, I think with his kidneys. That looked painful.
There's a little feed up the field. And Costa can't come away with it. UCF's done a great job of stepping in front of some passing lanes tonight, taking away scoring opportunities from SMU.
Yeah, and again, the job that the UCF defense has done on Simonson, just swallowing him up every time he either gets to the ball or even makes a run toward the ball. I think the story of the night so far has been UCF's defense. They've been brilliant.
Rosa back to Vivi. Vivi to Rosa. Vivi already has 1 assist in the match tonight. Here's Sorokin, one of the team captains for UCF, who scored on a penalty kick from point-blank range. Adabuberry with that nifty footwork. Gets past the defender, sends in a cross, and Johnson deflects it. Maybe his play of the game. The freshman Johnson knocks that one away.
And he needed that. He really needed that. Just to get a deflection, turn away what would have been.
The scoring attempt there by Beto Idrach. Great camera work by our crew here.
I don't know if Johnson got a hand on it or if he just sealed off that corner and forced the shooter to go just a little bit wide. But either way, nice job by Johnson not allowing a chance there.
Subbing in now for UCF, the defender, number 5, Gideon Adu-Pepra. He comes in for number 4 for the Knights, Hernandez Betancourt.
Betancourt is one of the guys who's done a really nice job on Simonson, so it's interesting that they take him out now. I don't know if he's, you know, fatigued or got a cramp or something like that, or if they're going to rest him for the final 10-15 minutes in case SMU is able to make a push and close the gap.
Betancourt has been on every national team for his home country of Costa Rica since 2013. He's played in 8 different countries.
There's international experience, and then there's international experience.
He's probably the coach by now, too. That's incredible.
He's not as old as Sorokin, is he?
Rosa with the throw in for the Knights, who lead it 2-0. Good vision by SMU. That one's not clear, and the Mustangs will have a throw in coming.
Now you see Kevin Hudson taking a more aggressive stance. Wyatt Priest coming into the game, but not replacing Simonson. So now they'll have 2 targets up front. And Roman Knox will take a seat. So now you're taking someone off the back end and adding an extra target up front because you got 19 minutes to get 2 goals for an equalizer.
Simonson inside the box. Ertl keeps that low, sends it up to the back line. As you're looking at the field right now, the wind is blowing into SMU's attack, blowing right down the field from north to south. Here's Hilt with it. Hilt over to Ollander. Ollander, left-footed, gets it up to Simonson. Not able to get a shot on goal. Back line for UCF, like you said, that defense has really been the story of the day. And a takedown against SMU. Whistle blows. The Mustangs will have a little free kick coming, make that UCF.
And a momentary stoppage of the clock. Noah Hilt was whistled for the takedown and then was a little too emphatic pleading his case. It did not result in a card, though. It was just a little conversation with the officials, and on we go.
So Priest, Costa, and Simonson at the top of the attack for SMU. They're still trying to get their first goal of the night. This could turn into a scoring opportunity as Rosa is off to the races for UCF. Simonson plays that one off his chest, and Costa can't move up the field with it. Little pull there. Simonson hits the deck, and they'll get this one back in play quickly. SMU going to try and take every legal advantage that they can here and get UCF on their heels. Here's a feed up the field, I believe, to Priest. Priest heads it down and has his legs taken out from under him. And the play is still ongoing. No whistle by the officials. The entire bench for SMU was up there.
Yeah, oddly enough, the officials on the SMU bench, the ones wearing blue and white horizontal stripes, didn't quite agree with that non-call. And I think they had a legitimate case. And certainly when you're down a couple of goals with 17 minutes left, those disagreements seem even more egregious when you're on the short end.
There's a little hip check. SMU gets a little payback there. Dorado hits the deck hard.
Yeah, but the Mustangs have to be careful not to.
No, they've ratcheted up the intensity here. You're right, they've got to be careful.
Right, they've ratcheted up, and you have to. You have to take chances when you're chasing a couple of goals, but they do have to be careful because those officials still have whistles.
UCF with the feed from the 6. This one's deflected. And that one goes wide left past Johnson in goal.
Adabu Berry looking for his second goal of the night, taking aim at the back post. And I wonder if Cole Johnson was screened a little bit because he didn't move a muscle until that ball was almost beyond him.
Dorado will come out, grab a breather, and going in for the Knights, one of the original starters, Jonas Schmalbach, the 6'2" player from Venice, Italy.
Yeah, so while Dorado's getting a breather, all the Knights are doing is putting a starter back in. No rest for the weary if you're on the Mustang side.
There's Castro with it to Allender. Allender inside the circle. Looking down the field, trying to find an option. Can they find Priest over off the left side? Can they feed the middle with Simonson? Priest in between 3 defenders, and the whistle blew again, this time against SMU.
Coach Calabrese told us during the week that one of his areas of focus would be pressuring the SMU defense, trying to force the Mustangs into mistakes with a lot of high pressure from his front line, and he's done that all night, and they've been very effective at it. There've been a couple of times where SMU hasn't even gotten the ball out of the back third or across midfield because of the pressure with only 2 or 3 black jerseys up front. And here they come again. Castro able to keep it away, but not without some duress.
Here's Simonson trying to outrun the defenders. Ertl comes up and puts a boot in that one. Papa Indoy, a junior starter for SMU with 4 goals on his ledger already, not in the starting lineup tonight, like you mentioned last week with a red card. How different is the complexion of this game because Indoy is not in it for SMU?
Well, he's a very dangerous player. I mean, he was put on the Herman Award watch list before he ever played a game at SMU, and for a reason. He scored, I think it was 11 goals last year at Long Island. He's a very dynamic threat. When the Memphis game that we saw a couple of weeks ago, he scored 2 goals in a couple of minutes.
This one goes in towards Ertl. The header by Priest a little bit off the mark.
And I think the real difference is if you have Endoy, that allows you to drop Skage Simonson back to have an extra offensive threat in the midfield rather than having Simonson running into the offensive third by himself. So really Endoy's addition would strengthen the midfield behind him and give the Mustangs an additional viable threat. But even on his own, he's a very dynamic offensive threat. And certainly the Mustangs would love to have had him tonight.
Schmalbach sends that one across the field. There's a handball. It couldn't really be helped. Castro pleading his case.
Yeah, he wasn't going to avoid that. He was sliding right through the ball and rolled over it a little bit, and eventually the arms are going to come into play, and they did.
So Vivi, number 7, as well as Anderson Rosa, the freshman from Brazil, who will take the honors here. Several free kicks in the previous first half. Right there for SMU. Now it'll be Vivi. Sends one in towards the penalty box. It'll be out of bounds, should be off of UCF. And a goal kick coming for Johnson.
A little bit too tall on that serve to the back post. And Mustangs now have to really be aggressive. A little over 12 minutes left, chasing a couple of goals.
Johnson is credited with 2 saves tonight. He's also allowed 2 goals, 1 on a penalty kick. Here's a feed up to Priest. Priest to Skage. Skage's got some room to run with it. Cuts it inside. And that back line for UCF stays so productive.
Yeah, and Simonson a little bit unlucky there as well. He sort of overran the ball by a half a step. And when you're trying to split a couple of defenders, you can't be reaching back to try to regain possession cleanly.
Barry, a little bit wide. Would have been his 2nd goal of the match.
And we've said would have been his 2nd about 4 times already this half. Barry's been a consistent threat from start to finish tonight.
The SMU offense has generated 10 shots tonight, 6 of them on goal.
We need to generate some more in a hurry. As
Allender up the field to Castro. Castro 2 men in front of him, splits both defenders. Sends one past the official. Now they'll open it up to Priest in the left corner. Priest sends in the pass. Knocked away by Ertl. And the back line clears it for the Knights. Brilliant play there. Ertl got full extension on that dive.
There have been a couple of times where, you know, you hear coaches talk about following shots, and
looks like there was a foul away from the ball. They have stopped play.
All right, 2 players just sat down.
But that one came off a defender, and Ertl, all he could do was just blast it, get it out of the goal.
I think we may be having a cramp here.
Is that Learman? Learman's down looking with the trainer.
I think it is Learman, and you can see the way he's walking off and sort of favoring his thigh.
Coach Hudson pleading his case with the official.
Well, yeah, because the Mustangs had the ball and were trying to build an offensive chance. All of a sudden, Learman sits down, whistle blows, and that interrupts the chance. Now, UCF doing the right thing. SMU getting the free kick.
In for number 7 will be Ariel Hadar. First time we've seen Hadar in today's match.
Nick Taylor trying to dribble through 3 Knights, which he's capable of doing, but that's crowded traffic.
Here's Timo Humrick up the field. Edrach takes it away. Rosa, who has shown a lot of motor tonight, never stops going full speed.
Yeah, Rosa's been one of the best players on the field tonight.
Costa lost his footing there. Otherwise might have been able to take it in from the right side. Adabu Berry tracking this one down. He will not be called offsides. He'll try to curl it in from the left, and now he's got an open look. Coming in, lateral feed, and it's deflected by SMU.
How about that serve by Anderson Rosa, about 50 yards across the field, off a short hop. He picked it out of midair and sent it and dropped it right on Adabu Berry's foot.
Mauricio Villalobos with a hip check there against Noah Hilt. And that one just kind of goes out of play. Coach Hudson clapping, telling his players, let's clean it up a little bit.
That was one of those plays that will not appear in any stat sheet. That was an otherworldly pass by Anderson Rosa. Honestly, that's the kind of thing that SMU misses with Talon Maples graduating. He could serve it up from 50 yards and drop it on someone's foot, creating offensive chances, and Rosa's doing that as a freshman.
Costa tries to stay up here, has it taken away. We've gone under 9 minutes remaining with SMU trailing 2-0. Little feed to Berry. That one by Schmalbach. Berry with that good vision brings it back. Try and get it into the middle of the field. There's a blast that's going to be well wide and out of play. Goal kick coming for the Mustangs.
And again, you're going to a more of an offensive threat as Lane Warrington checks in for Timo Humrick. Warrington, an offensive-minded, very speedy midfielder. And so it's going to be up to Tervega and Tobin Shanks to man the back end at this point with a little bit of help from Noah Hilt. Other than that, it's everybody up front pushing forward for offensive chances.
Both these teams back in action next week. A home game for SMU. They'll take on the USF Bulls. Again, a Saturday night matchup. UCF, if they come away with the win here, will have quite a bit of momentum as they go on the road to take on the Memphis Tigers. Whistle blows again against SMU. They took Sorokin and put him on his butt. The team captain will pick it up.
Been a lot of collisions tonight that had a lot more impact than that one. I think I can sort of understand the Mustangs' objection to that whistle.
Costa comes in, has that one kicked behind him.
I don't don't know if maybe the officials are thinking this may get chippy, but that was another one on the other end that went the other way. Same deal, very light contact, ended up in a whistle.
Castro puts it up towards the right corner. Here's the feed in, and that's going to go over everyone's head.
But it had enough curl that it stayed in and landed with Nick Taylor on the far side.
Taylor feeds it to Costa. Costa goes inside, maybe trying to bend something in left-footed. Back to Taylor. They're just trying to do anything to get UCF off balance. And the Knights take it away outright. Great play by their defense. Whistle against SMU.
Yeah, Costa giving chase after he lost the ball. When you're closing in on 6 minutes, chasing a couple of goals, you do anything to get the ball back, and he got whistled. I think he clipped Barry on the ankle.
That
Field
one
is
goes
still
on
a
here.
little slick as Yannick Ertl lost his footing while taking that free kick. But fortunately for him, there wasn't a Mustang jersey within 30 yards of him. Interesting that the Knights showing some frustration as Jonas Schmalbach picks up a yellow card. Didn't agree with the whistle and apparently was rather emphatic with his objection.
UCF came into the match with 7 yellow cards to their credit, no reds.
Another one now for Lane Warrington. He collided with Ariel Hadar. It looked like knee-to-knee contact. And I don't think there was an aggressive intent by either player, just both going for the ball. They both hit the deck, but Warrington whistled for the crime.
Interesting to see. It's been quite a while since SMU lost 2 regular season matches in a row. You have to go back 5 years when they lost 2 in 2016 against UCF and Temple.
Same teams, just in reverse order this time.
We've got just over 5 minutes remaining in our Saturday night matchup between these two teams. If you're SMU, you'd like to see them, as a fan, generate a little bit of offense and get a score through. But for UCF, boy, just keep the hammer down on the Mustangs. Their defense has been fantastic tonight.
Yeah, and if you're the Knights, you're playing 10 guys back now. You got Jonas Schmalbach as the only player across midfield. You know, Barry will probably creep up there some before the night is through, but you're going to see a swarm of black jerseys building a wall in front of Yannick Ertl for the rest of the game here.
Gideon Adu-Pepra sends that one a mile high. SMU trying to track it down in Knight territory. And that one's saved by Tobin Shanks.
He would have been better served letting that go out of bounds too, because he gave it away, and in so doing,
Ariel Hadar gets taken down.
And it's another yellow card, this time for Costa. And Costa had no choice because Hadar had about 40 yards of open real estate where he could have sprinted straight toward the goal and either gotten a shot or created one for one of his teammates. So Costa had to take him down.
Here's Adu-Pepra, who hails from Manchester, fighting with Simonson for possession here. Pepra won't give up. Simonson kicks this one out to Castro. Back to Skage. Skage bending left. Always seems to have 2 men on him at every second. Sends one in the air. Ertel smashes this one and runs through an SMU player with the whistle blowing.
It's almost like a basketball defense where the other team has one clear threat, one absolutely dominant player.
Somehow Ertl got contact on the ball and the back of the player.
Yeah, he got an elbow across the back of the head of Wyatt Priest. Goalies are like quarterbacks. I mean, not a lot's going to get called on them ever.
If you want to go get in Ertl's orbit, that's on you. You know, you got to be careful when you're close to that.
And the goalie has right to go for the ball at all times. And, you know, by having the use of his hands, he's going to be able to reach farther than any field player. And he got his hand on the ball. So it's the right call that there was no whistle blown. Wyatt Priest may not agree with that, but
Here's a throw in coming for Rosa. They get it inside the top of the box, but SMU will take over. Send it back up the field to Skage.
Again, Simonson tried to drop it for Gabriel Costa on an overlapping run.
Here's Costa, right sideline.
And he's going 3 on 6.
Tries to take it away from 2 defenders. Castro bends one into the top of the box. Is that Sorokin trying to take it away from him?
Costa's as a creative and offensive player as you'll find in the country, but if you're going 3 on 6, it's tough for anybody.
Allender with the feed to Costa. Left-footed off the head of Simonson. Here's an opportunity against Ertl, and that one's smothered away. Looks like Ertl got tangled up there, a little slow to get up off the turf.
I think Ertl might have taken the shot. The ball itself may have hit him in the face. It did.
Ouch.
Is that Tervega who was up front?
Possibly Haney. Looked like a 3, but that can't be right.
No, Haney's out tonight. It was Tervega.
Right.
Pressing forward as the Mustangs obviously have to put all hands on deck on the front end.
Under 2 minutes, down 2-0. Here's a shot knocked away by the goalkeeper of the year 2 years running. Yannick Ertl maintains the shutout.
That's Ertl's best save of the night. There have been chances, though. There have been a couple times, one on a corner kick and one on a shot from 25 out or something, where Ertl lost track and the ball was bouncing out in front of the net. There was one where he even lost it. He simply didn't know where it was, and those are the chances that SMU needed to pounce on, needed to bury, and they weren't able to get on it. And you know, it's the luck of the game. Sometimes they come right to you, sometimes they don't, and tonight they haven't.
Castro had the feed into Hilt. Hilt was not able to get it in on that beautiful save by Ertl. 1 minute remaining here. UCF began the season losing 3 of their first 4 matches. Their only win came at Temple, 1-0. They're a minute away from winning 2 in a row and making it a much more interesting leaderboard come Sunday morning.
Yeah, several of the coaches that we've talked to this year have said there's no way to guess who's going to be in front at the end of the year. Pretty much every team in this league has talent and can beat each other on a given day, and I think we're seeing that so far.
UCF continues to possess here with under 20 seconds remaining. Johnson comes out, knocks that one away, and a corner kick coming. We might not even see it.
Yeah, the Knights are in no rush. You can hear the final seconds being counted down.
The final seconds tick off the clock, and UCF with a much-needed victory in conference.